All right, welcome back to Blue by 90. I'm Justin, joined by Tanner and Kailen today. It is July 8th, and it is like peak offseason currently, where recruiting is going insane on all aspects, and all we have to fight about is that. And Twitter is still, it's July, and Twitter is still an absolute slugfest currently.
It always is. No matter who owns it, whatever the name is, it's a cesspool. I don't know. You guys typically aren't as active on your personal accounts. Typically more on Blue by 90. I'm very active on my personal account. I always have been. Right. I wouldn't say I always will be. Thank you,
Tanner Wu-Tang.
I appreciate that. I get some heinous things said to me because I say something about a college football team. It's like the level that we go from like, hey, Michigan beat Ohio State 3 years in a row, and I'll just get the most deranged. So I actually went into my Twitter, changed the settings to only people that I follow because it was just it hurts. I'm a sensitive guy.
Kind of a coward move though.
Fair.
Are you running?
But I'm the guy who will tweet something very controversial that I know will pop off and then just immediately mute it. But then I'll go back in and read the comments because I want to know.
I mean,
so just a bomb thrower.
Yeah, that's psychotic behavior. Let's be honest.
Is it? I just put my phone down. It's like Tyler the Creator. Just close your laptop. That's. But no, Twitter is crazy right now. But what's even crazier? It's Michigan football recruiting in the class of 25. There were a lot of people that would love to take a screenshot of Michigan's recruiting class ranking a month ago. I'm like, well, look at this. It's almost like recruiting is fluid, and is always changing. Teams are moving.
English podcast.
I didn't graduate from college. It's okay.
Yeah.
But Michigan today had a big day. 2 top 100 kids. Ivan Taylor, son of Ike Taylor, flipped from Notre Dame, top 50 safety prospect, big time recruit, and then Andrew Olash, tight end from Pennsylvania, commits to Michigan over Penn State and Alabama. Alabama was pushing, and Michigan was able to hold them off. So great day on the trail for the Wolverines.
No, that's 2 top 100 commits in basically one day. Is that correct?
Yeah, within 30 minutes of each other. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I think the Ivan Taylor thing is big because of what Lamar Morgan is doing, right? Lamar Morgan has come onto the scene as the defensive backs and secondary coach for Michigan, and he's now landed the number 2 and the number 3 safeties for the 25 class. Is that correct?
Yeah, both in the top 50. Ivan Taylor's number 41 to 247. Kanoa Winston is number 43. Funny enough, I wanted to bring this up and might as well do it now because the number 42 player in the country, right smack dab in the middle, is a corner out of Lancaster, California, Adonis Curry, who's committed to Texas A&M. But Texas A&M has 4 4-star corner commits. They're all in the top 10 of their class. So I think that's a lot of guys in one room. I think Michigan there's been some activity on Twitter. So you've seen some staffers follow this young man. So be interesting to see if they get it for a visit. But, a kid from California committed to A&M feels like maybe something that's winnable. And I think what you've seen from Michigan lately is they can go compete with the big boys. I think a lot of the things that we were complaining about, and Justin, you've seen all this, I think it was blown out of proportion. And I think that Sharon Moore has really come into his own. And, he had a lot of hurdles as a first-time head coach to face on the recruiting trail with, just replacing guys that left to go to the NFL or that were, that had to resign because of off-the-field things. And then also some of the limitations that the NCAA placed for buying a cheeseburger on the program. So he had to kind of, work through all those things. But I think you're starting to see his recruiting chops. And, he's a guy that went into Oklahoma and got Dax Hill back in 2019. So we know that he's a guy that can go and get big-time recruits. I think you're starting to see that kind of come to fruition. And, this. Who knows what's going to happen during the season? Teams flop. Guy commits to a school. They go 5-7. They're starting to look around. Coach leaves. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Michigan to continue to build on this class. And they're in it for some big-time guys as well still.
And it feels like there's a different vibe in the recruiting strategy these days, right? So and with the change in the landscape of college football, I got a ghost in here. My lights are flickering. With the change in college football, I think they're going to be continuing to recruit, right? So even if you miss on a recruit, like in the offseason, you can always come back and get them during the season.
Yeah, 100%. Is my camera frozen?
Yeah, my computer just went crazy, by the way, so I don't know what was going on, but you know what? I'll kill the dead air here. The other thing, to your point, Kailen, is I think that, you see a guy that Michigan was in on, Marco Jones, who was an edge prospect out of California, commits to A&M, baseball heavy kind of guy. But I think you might see, who knows? I mean, brand new coach, new look SEC, Texas and Oklahoma are coming into play. Who knows what might happen if you continue to recruit that kid to the whistle. So I think that's Michigan's strategy has always been to continue to recruit guys unless there's something nefarious going on with the commitment, which has happened a couple times. But I think Michigan will continue to recruit some of these guys that they missed out on. But I'm telling you, I mean, they're sitting at number 11 right now. The guys that are out there that they either are neck and neck for or have a crystal ball in for or lead for, like they got Andrew Marsh, who's a top 75 player out of Texas. He's a wide receiver. Like, shout out to Ron Bellamy. That's a tough sell considering how little Michigan has really thrown the ball over the last few years to potentially go into Texas and get a big timer like that. They've got Andrew Babalola, who's a big time offensive tackle, top 15 player in the country out of the state of Kansas, I believe. So they're in on some really big time prospects. And they're in on some guys that they think are going to turn out to be big time contributors that maybe aren't ranked as high. Some of the guys they've gotten, the running back Jasper Parker, he just got a nice ratings bump from On3. So you see Michigan kind of continue that same level of strategy with Jim Harbaugh at the helm of, we're going to find highly rated guys, but we're also going to go find guys that maybe aren't as coveted. And by the time that they're signing, like a Mason Graham or Colson Loveland, they're a big time recruit.
Well, they're also getting the Michigan bump, right?
That's true. That's true.
I did see it. There was I couldn't remember which exact three it was, but there were three guys that committed to Michigan and like made a pretty significant jump immediately after.
I mean, they've shown that they've done a pretty good job of evaluating guys that maybe the 247 and On3 guys missed. And my thought is, like, if you're a scout and you're good enough to be in college, you're in college or the NFL. You're not working for recruiting. So no disrespect, but that's just the way they go a lot off of offers. Like, there's only so much eval that they can do that's going to be different from a college scout and a college scouting program. It's just, that's the way that I look at it. So I think Michigan kind of, has earned that. They had the lowest total talent of any national championship team over the last 20 years. I think they've shown that they can go and identify guys that the recruiting services maybe missed on, and they can go and be players. Look at Hassan Haskins, was a 3-star. Like that 2018 class, Michigan fans, myself included, hated it. Where's the star power? That was the class that was seniors when they went and won the Big Ten for the first time in 17 years. That was a class that had Ronnie Bell, had Jake Moody. Now kickers are different, but so like they've done a good job of that. And I think with Sharon, they'll continue to do that. And I think they'll probably get the benefit of the doubt from the 247s and On3s of the world.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, just thinking about it, so if you look at Michigan's ranking right now in the 25 class, they just jumped up to 11th. And I think the difference, to your point, Kailen, when you're looking at the recruiting strategy, the difference, yes, they are looking for culture guys. They're looking for guys that are the right fit, but they are going for the higher level talent guys. It's, I think we've talked about it in the past where a 3-star, you have to have like a 100% hit rate on 3-stars that are going to be Mason Grahams and Rod Moores, right? It's really difficult to do that. Right now, out of their class, they have 2 3-stars and 13 4-stars. And I think I've said this on this podcast before. It's been a while, but I truly believe in the NIL era, the sweet spot for recruiting is the 4-star, the high 4-star kid. You don't have to, quote unquote, pay them like a 5-star. And when you get up to a 5-star level, it's immediately a bidding war. That's all it is. But when they're at a 4-star, you can go in and get them, especially like you said, Tanner, when it's a guy that starts out in the cycle, maybe not as highly rated, and then works his way up. But I believe that you can get a lot more bang for your buck going after the 4-stars in the NIL era. And I think that that's what Michigan is probably doing. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I truly believe that every single kid that's in this class committed right now is a good fit for Michigan. They seem to love and want to be there. It's not I'm coming for the money. Like, it's not anything like that where you've seen that at other schools, not to name any schools.
That's huge. I'm actually really curious to see how this proves out, right? Like, because first year full-time head coach, Jerome Moore, like, he seems to actually have an identity for this team, which is kind of strange for a first-year coach, I feel like. So I'm actually really excited to see how that turns out.
Well, think about for Jerome Moore he's still 5 months on the job, if that, right? Like, for him to establish an identity is unbelievable. And obviously they had it from Jim Harbaugh, but even though he's been in the room for, the last however many years, so that helps a ton. But I still think it's a very different situation when all of a sudden you're the guy, you're the head coach, right? And so I think that for him, coming in and being like, hey, Coach Harbaugh's gone. I'm not going to be Coach Harbaugh. He's come out and said that, I believe. And he's like, I'm going to be my own guy. He's established it. He has now very much established that on the recruiting trail, that he's like, I'm going to go get some dogs. We're going out there. We are heavy on the recruiting trail. We're aggressive. And so I think you're seeing it. And I think you're just touching the surface right now for Michigan on the recruiting trail. Ohio State, we're coming for you, baby. We're coming for you. I don't give a shit if you're number one. We're coming for you.
I don't know if we're coming for Ohio State recruiting rankings. And we talked about this I know we talked about this in the group chat, and somebody made the comment of, I don't know if Sharon's going to go 15-0 and win a national championship. He might, but I do know that the summers and the off seasons are more fun. And I said to some people, that's all that matters. That's what this is all about. There are some Michigan fans who can't even enjoy the national championship season. Michigan went 15-0 last year, beat Alabama, beat Ohio State, won the national championship, if you did not recall. But there are some Michigan fans who can't, like, yes, I want Michigan to continue to recruit at a high level because recruiting is extremely important. But the people that freaked out, so it's so funny to me too, and this is not necessarily a Michigan perspective, but last year Michigan had the number one class at one point. Oh, it's so early. It's March. It's April. Yet those same people, when Michigan doesn't have their class filled out, not 8 months before signing day, oh, the class stinks. They can't recruit. Look at who they're behind. They're behind Tulane. And it's like, dude, it's so fluid in recruiting. And also the thing you have to remember is that what did Michigan do at the end of 2022 going into last season? They hit the transfer portal hard, and they had an extremely high hit rate. So, again, different regime, Jim Harbaugh to Sharon Moore. But if Sharon can continue to find high school players who want to come to Michigan, who are willing to not need as big of a payday up front, but are still going to make money. Don't get it twisted. They're still going to make money at the University of Michigan. You may just not get, the Lamborghinis on your official visit like some schools, which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, by the way.
You're not going home. I don't know if anybody's aware of this, but you don't get the keys to the Lamborghini.
They paid $5,000 to rent 8 Lamborghinis and park them in front of the football facility. What are we? Maybe it works. I don't know. It probably does.
It probably does. By the way, my wife just texted me that she thinks a couple minutes ago I said bang for your fuck instead of bang for your buck.
Well, now you did. You proved her right.
I definitely did. But sorry to the listeners for that one. Cover your little ones.
Really emphasize the buck on that one.
I did. Also, Tyler, my cousin Tyler, big listener, big tailgate guy. We love him.
Big barbecue guy.
Big barbecue guy. He said he listens to this on the TV, and he's got a 3-year-old girl, and she goes, Uncle Justin from the TV. I was like, oh my God, the things that 3-year-old has probably heard is not good.
I don't know what's better, her saying that or your dad asking if we're the guys from Bleacher Report. Every tailgate 4 times an hour was the best. I wish I could keep track of how many times he said that to us. I would love to have a final tally on that. So that's your family does some funny things when it comes to this show.
We really just record for them. We really are. That's really the whole audience for the podcast.
My grandma listens. Just terrifying.
That is terrifying for sure.
Yeah. Well, she has listened. I don't know if she's a religious listener, but she's like, "What's your podcast?" And I'm like, I don't know. I can't find it on the YouTube. Grandma podcast. That might be worse, dude. At least we're not doing shrooms and whatnot.
No, but I mean, going back to it, I do think that the way, like, we're probably not going to come for that number one spot in the recruiting rankings. Like I said, let's be real about that. But here's my thing. I do think as Michigan continues to creep up, and if Michigan gets all of a sudden they get one more commit and they're in the top 10, then all of a sudden they get closer to 5. I think Ohio State fans are shaking in their boots. I really do, because they're like, okay, they've beat us the last 3 years and they didn't have shit figured out for recruiting with that. Now, what if they figure out recruiting? Like, this is their nightmare, right? And this is every Michigan fan's dream. This is what we've wanted, is like everything for the past 5 months after Michigan won the Natty was, it's over for Michigan. That's all they had. They're dead now. RIP. What if the actual reality is, oh shit, they figure out recruiting. They somehow, Sherrone Moore and his staff find a way to turn a Natty into make a dynasty run. And again, it might not mean 15-0 again in 2025, but they build on this and become like, okay, shit, we're, in the top 10 year after year after year. Like, that is an Ohio State fan's nightmare in this situation if Michigan could go on a run.
I feel like it's even more demoralizing for them, right? If we start creeping up recruiting rankings, because when we were losing to them regularly, like our recruiting classes weren't that good. Right. I mean, there were some in the Hoke era that were pretty solid, some in the Harbaugh era pretty solid. But I mean, Ohio State's routinely number 1, number 2. So if we start creeping up, it's like, oh, now we're losing. Now they've not only figured out how to beat us, they've also figured out how to beat us off the field. Like, that's just,
I mean,
yeah.
My thing, sorry to cut you off, Kailen, but my thing on this topic when it comes to Ohio State is I don't care. Like, I don't get scared anymore. Like, I remember in 2020 during COVID, because there was nothing else going on, I vividly remember when Quinn Ewers, greatest quarterback prospect ever, committed to Ohio State, and I said, oh, shit. Oh, God. And then what does he do? He's there for a year, he transfers. And I remember when they got JT Tuimoloau, I could say it. And I was like, oh, shit. What has he done except for that one time against Penn State? And Jack Sawyer.
Really good against Penn State.
They talk about how many top 100 prospects they get, and it's great. They do a great job of recruiting, and they do a great job of recruiting receivers that actually translates to on-field results. That's the best thing that Ohio State does. And they do get a lot of talent, and they do get guys that are really good at football. But my thing is 2021 was maybe the greatest recruiting class of all time in this era. They had like 15 top 100 kids. You get 15% of the top 100 recruits. There's like 3,000 recruits annually that are signing Division I scholarships, or whatever the number is. Holy cow. Do you know what the record is against Michigan? 0-3.
Facts.
I mean, Quinn Ewers might get a chance. Not might. He's got a chance to be the first guy from that recruiting class to beat Michigan. And he plays for Texas. And it ain't going to happen.
Pumped up right now.
And it ain't going to happen because everybody's circling that as a win for Texas. And I don't think they realize that, hey, Michigan still got a squad. They still got 3 or 4 first-rounders on that defense. Maybe 2 top 10 picks on the defense, right? So, I don't know. I just – show me something. Because this recruiting class for Ohio State is number 1 right now. It's fantastic. They got this, that, and the other thing in it. What happens in November – if your worst nightmare comes true again for the 4th straight year, what happens? He's gone. That recruiting class is gone. So I'm just saying, again, they're getting crowned. Ohio State's another team. They're getting crowned already. I'm getting fired up about it. Like, show me something on the field.
I agree. I mean, listen, they obviously have won 11 games the last 3 years. Like, it's not like they're going 7-5. So, but you still got to win that game in November, and I believe that this year for both Michigan and Ohio State is going to be harder than ever. They both got tough schedules. Obviously Michigan has a lot harder schedule than Ohio State.
Yeah. Well, are we going to have that conversation about the non-conference this year about Ohio State?
No,
because it's the same exact as Michigan's last 2 years. Now it doesn't matter?
That all of a sudden is not going to matter. You know that.
Can we talk about Notre Dame playing 4 group of 5 teams? I'd like to talk about that. I had a lot of Notre Dame fans chirping Michigan's schedule last year.
Notre Dame, yes. There's one that's like the 4 Horsemen, I think it is, or something like that. He talks shit about Michigan. And, like, first of all, Notre Dame is so irrelevant at this point in the year 2024. Like, you're not in a conference that there's conference realignment all over the country. You're the only team that's sitting it out, and there's going to be the Power Four. You're still not going to be in the conversation. You have a cupcake schedule. You haven't beat anybody of significance in forever. Even Ohio State came in and beat you last year on like you would basically let them win. It's Notre Dame. We just stole your lunch too. We came in, Sharon Moore just stole your lunch. So I refuse to even honestly acknowledge them.
By the way, EJ Holland tweeted, "That's 5 classes in a row that Michigan has flipped the Notre Dame commit."
Love that.
That's amazing. Here's 2 things about Notre Dame that I'd like to mention. And I got both of these from the 24/7 Michigan Insider boards because I love it. I'm a degenerate. I read it all the time. So 2 things about Notre Dame. Michigan from November of 2023 to January of 2024 had more top 10 wins than Notre Dame has since 2013. Here's the second thing to think about.
What?
Notre Dame
say that one more time.
All right. Michigan from November of 2023 through January of 2024 has more top 10 wins than Notre Dame has since 2013.
Damn.
That's 10 years. 10 years of football season.
That's a decade.
That's crazy.
Here's the second thing to think about. This isn't so much as necessarily a stat, but just something to think about. Notre Dame last major bowl game that they won was in 1994. I wasn't born yet. I was not born yet.
I was 2.
So Michigan in that time won a national championship in 1997 and then had a 26-year drought and then won another national championship.
Wow.
And we're not even talking about Notre Dame's last national championship. That was during the Ronald Reagan era in 1988. So if there's any fan base that I care less to hear from than Notre Dame, I don't know where they're at. Because Ohio State, yes, Michigan has won the last 3, but, they've had their run. They've won 2 national titles in this millennium. We can trash talk them all they want, but that's a really great program. That's a top 3, top 5 program in the sport consistently. I mean, they've had like 1 bad year since Woody Hayes was there, right? So they have some merit to talk trash. Right. Even MSU, at least they went to the playoff. Well, I guess Notre Dame did too. They also got smoked. But at least MSU kind of smoked us a little bit there under D'Antoni. What has Notre Dame ever done?
Has Notre Dame been in a playoff game, or
they've been twice BCS? And got smoked twice, I believe.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Alabama game.
They lost to Clemson and they lost to Alabama in back-to-back years. Yeah, so
but think about though. Remember when Manti Te'o? That was pretty cool until it turned out the whole thing was a hoax. So I remember that couple month run. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And,
he had that picture. There's 2 light beams coming down. I was like, that's cool. They're are there ghosts? Are there spirits? That's cool. And then it was all fake.
You ever hear that catfisher's voice? Pretty convincing.
I watched the documentary. That was wild.
Low-key, I do feel bad for Manti Te'o.
I do as well.
You can't possibly fall for it. You got to be able to meet.
Also, you're the captain of the football team at the University of Notre Dame. I mean,
what are we doing here?
Yeah. But that's their claim to fame over the last 25 years of college football. So thanks to Notre Dame for stopping by. Appreciate it.
And thank you for Ivan Taylor. Appreciate it.
Yes. And Owen Waffle last year, Brandon Hillman the year before. Who was 22 and 21? Can't remember, but we flipped them. So, and also the last time Michigan Notre Dame played was in, I believe, 2019, and Michigan won 45-14.
That was the rain game where we just we were like, oh my God, it's raining so hard. All we're going to do is run, and they still couldn't stop it.
And Shea Patterson still had 3 touchdowns through the year.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear about Notre Dame. Their schedule this year is unbelievably weak. They'll probably win 10 games. Don't care. Join a conference. Join the 21st century. I'm sick of hearing about Notre Dame. I grew up in Indiana. I'm over them. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hearing about it. Marcus Freeman is just handsome James Franklin. What are we doing?
He's
a very good-looking dude.
Great-looking dude. Just,
sometimes puts 10 guys on defense.
They might make it to the playoff just because of the way it shakes out this year. But,
that's going to –
They will.
Kind of feels good for me because, 1, we might get the matchup. 2,
we won the last one. Now it's they let anybody into this damn thing. Michigan had to go through the 4-team. They had to beat Bama. They had to beat Nick Saban in his last game. Remember, Michigan ended Nick Saban's whole career. And then they had to smoke Washington and force Kailen DeBoer out of there and go to Alabama. So what are you going to do?
Speaking of, is it exactly 6 months ago from today that Michigan won a national title?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
That was, if it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then so the fun thing about that is before that national title, they won 14 games in a row before that too. And then before that, they won 3 in a row against Ohio State. And there's just it's just a lot.
Have they won 40 of their last 43 games? Is that the number?
Wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah, 28 of the last 29. I know that. Yeah. 15 in a row. Longest winning streak in college football at the moment. Feels pretty good. Recruiting's picking up. We got – let's talk about this. Donovan Edwards putting on a show for college football.
Show.
Smoked Bordeaux. I like Bordeaux. I don't know if anybody knows who he is. He's a YouTube content creator. He focuses on college football. He's been doing this for a couple of years. I watch some of his stuff. Seems like a good kid. He's a younger guy. Donovan smoked him. It wasn't even close.
Can we talk about what Donovan looks like when he's running the ball? It honestly looked like, and he looked like the NFL street guys when you're just like chugging down.
Dude, low key. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I watched that video today for the gameplay that came out. It looks like him running. Like he's got those long strides. Like it looked like he doesn't run like he's not as crazy as Isaiah Pacheco when he runs, but he does have he puts his foot in the ground. That it looks like the way he runs. So I don't know if they did any motion capture, but it looked good.
They low key, I was getting flashbacks of that Penn State high stepping touchdown almost.
Yeah, dude, he ran it. I don't know. He had a play right before half. He ran it on 3rd and 2 with 7 seconds left and scored. And I was like, this is the most Michigan way to play the game possible. Also, Alex Orji has 91 speed. You're not touching me online. Read option, triple option. I'm getting Samaj in an orbit motion to be the pitch man. It's you're not beating me.
There are going to be games when I'm playing with Michigan where we just don't throw the ball and just run it 1,000 times in a row. I go Sharon Moore in Penn State second half and we're just going to run it down your throat with every option possible.
I hope Sharon's just in his office on Monday, just playing the game, just running.
I would love for they had Ask Corso. Just get to Ask Sharon, run the ball.
It's just that's the only option.
Just duo. That's all we're running. We're running power and duo, and that's it. Don't ask for anything else. I have 2. You have X button and B button, and that's it, bro. You're not doing anything else.
It comes up with different packages, and there's just not a wide receiver in sight.
You got Colson Loveland, Marlon Klein out there. You got Prescorn out there. You've got a 6th O line and Donovan in the quarterback, and that's it. I will say if Alex Orji is as accurate as the video game shows, we're going to be pretty fun to watch this year. He looked really good.
He's slinging it.
Yeah, Samaj had a deep touchdown in that game. So yeah, we're a week away as we sit here on the 8th. I'm stoked. I can't wait for that.
Donovan also in a lot of those runs, he looked like the one run in the Big Ten championship game against Purdue where he just had 10 broken tackles on one play. That's what he looked like in basically every run in that game.
Can we talk about Donovan Edwards? And I wonder if last year having to split the carries with Blake and just not having the level of success with the injuries, I just don't think that that's the Donovan Edwards we're going to get. I think if he gets back to that 2022 version of himself, which, he's still split with Blake, but I don't know what the difference was. I don't know if it's the injuries or what confidence issue, but the one thing about him is that when his time is called, he's always stepped up in big moments. I mean, we call him big game Don for a reason, right? You talk about Ohio State, you talk about Purdue, you talk about the national championship. I mean, he's making big plays. So in the real world, not the video game, I think if he gets back to his 2022 level of play, because people like to mock his vision and he can't see, man, that touchdown run against Purdue, I mean, he had to cut back multiple times. He had really good field sense and just instincts as a running back. If he gets back to that with kind of the offense that Michigan might need to run, I think he could run for 1,500 yards. Honestly.
I 100% agree. I think you're going to be – you talked about splitting the carries with Blake. I think you're going to see a Donovan that all of a sudden his vision goes – it really hones in because I think it's hard – it's really hard to get in a rhythm when you're not the number one guy. When it's like, all right, I'm only coming in every couple downs. When there's a go-to need, you're not in. I think it's hard to be like locked in completely, right? And so I think when he's getting a majority of the carries in 2024, I really do think you're going to see a pretty big difference in that. And especially when it's more than just like one type of package, right? I think you're going to see him used, still in that slot wide receiver spot. I think they're going to use him like crazy. And I think you're going to see maybe just a different Donovan Edwards than you've ever seen before because he's going to be the go-to guy.
How many passing touchdowns does Donovan Edwards have? I don't know. I'm asking.
I think it's just one still, right?
I think he just has one.
He would have had another if he could have led Colston a little bit in the Ohio State game. That was 6. It was underthrown because.
Wait, was that him or Kailen?
Oh, that was Kailen.
No. That was in 22. Last year they had a halfback. It was a sweet toss, and then he threw it to. Yes. I think it was to Colston. It was a tight end. I'm not blanking a little bit, but he might have had a touchdown if he was able to lead that one. But he had an edge rusher coming down on him, so he had to just get rid of it. But yeah, Kailen would have had 6. Honestly, if Michigan would have just ran on that one you're talking about to Schoonmaker, if they would have just ran PA, he would have been JJ would have just lobbed it up to him because that whole defense was just like they were like on the game, like they were coming down.
Block. Yeah,
exactly. That's what they were. They had nobody back there. So
yeah. I mean, I'm waiting for game 1. We were all going to be like, who's under center? Is it Alex Orji? Is it Davis Warren? Might as well be Dono, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't hate that. I don't.
Big game.
What if they just like screw with everybody and we're waiting to see who goes out and they just put Donovan under center? That would be incredible. That would be such a baller move.
Fresno State DC is just like, God damn it.
Just poor Fresno State defensive coordinator.
All right.
We're close, man. We're 2 months away.
Close.
It's crazy to think about.
It's 8 Saturdays away. 8 Saturdays away.
Put it that way.
That's it. Which I'm enjoying my summer. But I feel like as soon as we're very close to NCAA 25, and then it's like it's going to be here. Camp is going to be here in less than a month, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, holy shit, football.
At least we got something to hold us over for a little bit. That's nice. 100%. And me too. I'll just have a baby to hold me over as well. So
yeah, that is going to be time.
Wild concept just came to me. We're at the tailgate. It's 7 a.m, right? We're kind of getting things rolling. Break out the college football 25.
I was gonna bring that up too. Yeah, I could bring one of my consoles. We got it hooked up to the TV.
We absolutely should do that.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Oh yeah, I was gonna text that to the group at some point.
One TV on College Game Day, one TV on NCAA. I like that a lot.
That's big time. Yeah,
I'll buy another TV tonight. Sounds good.
He's not even joking. He's
not joking at all.
He's already on his way to Best Buy right now.
I gotta go. All right. Who should we be watching out for next on the commit list?
Unless it's somebody that might come out of nowhere. Philip Wright, receiver out of Destrehan, Louisiana. He's a 3-star, but his track times are faster than Roman Wilson, from what I've read. So we'll see if he's
4.2s.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. It was in the 100-meter dash. I don't know the exact time. I'm not a track guy, so I don't know. I heard it on one of the 247s. Yeah, so very fast. If he's faster than Roman Wilson, now can he cut and be a true receiver like Roman Wilson? That's the thing you're going to find out. But he's a guy that you take a risk on, and you see if he can play. So he's scheduled for the 13th, so later in this week. Believe that would be Saturday. So, but yeah, I mean, guy like Andrew Babalola, like I said, 5-star offensive tackle out of Overland Park, Kansas. It's Michigan and Stanford. And if I'm Michigan, the thing I'm hammering home is, do you really want to play football in the Bay Area and you got to travel to play ACC schools. Let alone, do you want to go 5-7? Like academics, yes, Stanford is bar none one of the best institutions in the world. But if you want to do both, high academics, great football, choice is pretty easy. But sounds like he might drop at some point, and I just have a gut feeling that Michigan's going to get him. I don't have any inside intel, so don't take that for what it is. But he just feels like a guy that he's going to drop for Michigan. Like it just feels like the momentum they have on the trail, the guys are getting in the class. It just feels like one they're going to win. But he's like big time, like first round pick potential at tackle. He'd be LT1.
What about, we didn't really dive into Olesh that much, but he's a big time tight end. Like that was a huge commit, right?
Yeah, he's number 84 on 247, 6'4.5", 215. I believe he's a Penn State legacy. I don't think his dad played at Penn State, but I think his parents went there. So, I mean, anytime you can get a legacy to go elsewhere, when he's from Pennsylvania and you fight off Alabama, that's a big win. And we know what Michigan does with their tight ends. You look at last year with Hogan Hansen and Brady Prieskorn, like 2 top 100 talents at tight end. And then you add this kid, that's, Michigan, O-line, tight end, defense, running backs. They just get the quarterback and the receivers, which I love. We talked about him already, but Brady Hart, I'm a big fan of. I think Carter Smith too, man. I don't want to sleep on him. I think he's a big time athlete. Maybe not as polished as a passer, but I think I saw him at a softball game. He's a big kid, man. Like coming into his senior year, like he's a big dude. So I'm excited, man. It's tough not to be excited about Michigan football these days, and Michigan basketball as well. Trey McKinney, out of the state of Michigan, 5-star guard, is visiting soon. So shout out Dusty May.
Shout out Dusty May. Hey, listen, it's July and I am having a great time. I'll tell you that.
I've been having a great time for 6 consecutive months.
6 consecutive months. It's been a good month. I wake up on the first of every month and I'm like, damn it, I'm a national champion. And then now it's just getting more fun because we're beating people out in recruiting. And I think we're going to roll into the season. I'm with you, Tanner. I think we're going to say this maybe on every podcast until the season starts. We're going to shock some people.
Keep sleeping.
We've got some juice. Keep sleeping, baby.
We got to generate. We have a top 5 pick at corner. We have a top 10 pick at defensive tackle. We have a first rounder at defensive tackle. We have a top 15, top 20 pick at tight end. Like, come on, man. We got O-line coming back. Like, the dudes are waiting in the wings. The big hosses up front. Grant Newsome getting his feet wet as an O-line coach with Sharon there to help. Like, the running backs, I feel really good, man. The only downer on this season is Rod Moore, man. If we had Rod Moore, another first-round potential guy, but maybe he can I saw a quote from somebody, I think it might have been Lamar Morgan, that he basically said, Rod's going to miss at least the first part of the season. Does that mean the back part of the season he's able to come in? I don't know.
You never know. So
we still got Makari Page, though. Zeke Berry.
We're going to be good. I've heard good things about Zeke Berry.
All the transfers coming in the secondary. Jay Sean Barham, linebacker out of Maryland. Jimmy Rolder, Ernest Hausman. Feel pretty good, man. Derek Moore, Josiah Stewart. Come on, dude.
The amount of experience behind the first stringers is insane after last year. So
still a lot of depth, man. That's still a lot of depth for Michigan. And just, like you said, you got a lot of guys that have been there, the certain experience level. They've been there. They know what it takes. They know the work that needs to put in. They know the foundation that was laid by the 2021 team and what it took to get there. And the guys like Aiden Hutchinson. And now you have that culture that's been built for 3 consecutive years of everyone putting in that amount of work. So now you just keep it going. You make sure you check the freshmen. Don't let them get too big-headed. They haven't done anything, right?
Right.
Keep it rolling. That's why I'm looking at it.
All right, let's keep things rolling. Well, for us, you can follow us at Blue by 90 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Blue by 90 Podcast on YouTube, and blueby90.com. We appreciate you. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.